Have a few minutes? You won't believe what you can do with it. Open a Regions checking account online in as little as 5 minutes. Then enjoy award-winning service and banking tools and tech that help you live in the moment. Learn more at regions.com/live in the moment. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
Broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Gas South Convention Center in Duluth, Georgia, it's time for Regions Business Radio. Regions Business Radio is presented by Regions Bank. Embrace the if in life. Member FDIC. Now, here's your host, J.D. Mueller.
Thank you, Mike Salmon. Good to be with you today. I'm J.D. Mueller, host of Regions Business Radio. I run commercial banking for Regions in North Georgia. And that includes sort of the North Gwinnett area all the way up to Highlands, North Carolina, east to Athens. And we cover a lot of different size businesses and industries in this area. And I'm very excited about, by the way, Mike Salmon, podcast hosts always say stuff like this. I'm really excited. But are we really excited?
You are.
I try to be.
You always are, yes.
I try to. And our guest today brings energy unlike anyone else.
Oh, this will be the best show ever.
Well, since the last one.
Yes.
Oh, man. The president and CEO of the Gwinnett Chamber, Nick Masino, is our guest today. Nick, thank you for joining me.
JD, I have to tell you, I'm excited to be here.
I'm
I'm so enthusiastic
you
about
are,
being here.
I can tell. I hear that, and so many times you hear people go, I'm so excited to be in.
Yeah, then they start snoring.
Yeah, I can tell you're really excited to have me today, JD. But all kidding aside, I know you're busy. You got a lot going on growing this great county that we're in. And so for you to give us a few minutes today, I really do appreciate it, and so do our listeners. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to your position as the president and CEO of the Gwinnett Chamber.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. This is my first time in the new studio at Business RadioX. It's absolutely gorgeous right here in the Gas South District. And thank you so much. And I'm honored to be here. And you invited me, and I was just looking forward to getting it on the calendar. We did, and here we are.
Yeah,
thank you. I joined the Chamber on February 6th of 2007. A little while ago. I was in the economic development space for about 13 years. And July 1st of 2019, I started as the president and CEO of the Gwinnett Chamber.
Okay, so I'm doing some quick timeline here. So you join in February of 2007, leading right into one financial crisis. So I'm not saying it's your fault, but it quickly came after that. So then you become the president. Did you say 2019?
The summer of 19, right before.
Wow, that track record, Nick. I'm concerned about that.
Well, you could be. Or the eternal optimist in me said somebody at the Chamber was a prognostic expert and knew we got to get the right person in place.
That's the right answer.
The blank hits the fan.
Yes, that's the right answer.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So
I've never had anyone point that out, but I'm glad I had a good smart-ass response.
You did. That's exactly right. No, that's quintessential Nick Masino, always on it. The few meetings that we've been in together, you never miss an opportunity to hit the nail on the head. So that's good. In your role, your current role, what all do you do? I mean, that's a big question, but what responsibilities do you have?
I'm going to answer that in a question. I've got to back up. I don't know if you know this, but I was the mayor of the city of Suwanee.
I do know that.
For 8 years.
Yeah.
And I was elected in 2000. And what happened the next year? 9/11. I've only right now put all that together.
As a matter of fact, I think this episode just ended. I don't know what's coming
Quick,
next.
get in the shelter.
Well, you're not making a job change anytime soon, are you?
Well, that's up to the board. So Mike with Business RadioX is one of my bosses as a Gwinnett Chamber board member. So it's up to him and the rest of the board.
Oh, just kidding.
The short answer to your question is, what do I do? What's the day as president and CEO? I am really blessed. I love my job. I've never repeated the same day once. Since 2000, it was the same with economic development. Each day throws you a curveball. You have to be able to catch that or hit it, whatever the right analogy is.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting. So my function is to make sure I'm championing business.
Okay.
And that could look differently each day, each week, each month. But in the end, to simplify it, we are a membership organization, voluntary membership organization of business, nonprofits, and community leaders. And those community leaders could be from the chair of Gwinnett County, Nicole Love Hendrickson, to any of our municipalities, to our superintendent. And so we touch all of Gwinnett County, from philanthropic to entertainment. I serve on the Gas South District board. One of our board members is the leader of Aurora Theater. I mean, we touch all corners of Gwinnett County, and we want to make sure that we continue to have a thriving community. So we identify things that we can see in the future that could be an obstacle to us thriving.
Okay.
And we try to get in front of those things, remove them, adjust them, and that can just look differently from driving a special purpose local option sales tax election that happens every 4 to 5 years. It just depends on what it looks like. Making sure we have the workforce for the future.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's just,
Oh, wow.
you don't know where you're going to go. Some of it has a bit of a pattern to it. Also at the chamber, we love to recognize people, and we do awards and events, and man, we like to network.
Great events.
Thank you.
I mean, y'all have some really good events from recognizing businesses of all sizes, woman-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, and it means a lot to those recipients.
It is really amazing. I think the chamber does a really good job. Once someone's a finalist, we've created these little, I call them a button, where they can post on their social media.
Yeah.
And it just all of a sudden you can tell when they've sent out those emails with all those little badges and buttons, because it pops up on every social media platform. And then you get to the event, and it's like all this energy driving towards that event, and then you announce the winners, and it's very exciting. And people do get. I mean, my favorite is when people add it to their signature line on their email address.
Oh yeah,
I'm a Gwinnett Chamber Small Business Award winner.
Oh, that's so cool.
Or a Moxie Award winner, and it's very cool.
It is, and they deserve it, And I think that a lot of times, business owners, they labor. And they're not worried about their mortgage. They're worried about all their employees' mortgages too, and to be recognized for whatever they do so well by their peers in the chamber, the business community. What a blessing to those businesses. What's a favorite success story of a business in Gwinnett County that may have won an award, or is there any heartstring type of story that comes to mind?
Okay, I'm going to answer that question a little differently.
Okay.
We have an event, a program every year. Where we recognize first responders, police officers, firemen and women, 911 operators, and that is an incredible program.
It's giving me chills. I mean, that's amazing.
And Ken Rutherford, who has been the kind of MC of that for years now, spends maybe 12 hours writing the script, calling and speaking to the people that are nominees and award winners, making sure the photos are all perfect images of these people. And these are stories of people's lives being saved. People fishing on a rock on the Chattahoochee, you hear about it 10 times a year, and they didn't time it right with letting the water out of the Buford Dam, and then the Swiftwater Rescue going in there to save their lives.
Oh, my goodness.
And those officers putting their lives at risk. For some reason, 2 years ago, we had 2 nominees that gave birth to a child in the middle of like a car wreck. And because the woman in the car wreck was pregnant, she was 9 months pregnant, and the stress of that forced the labor. And people unfortunately losing their lives, police dogs losing their lives, and being mortally wounded. There's a lot of tears in that event. That's the one that really pulls on the heartstrings. On the other side, there's so many positive business stories that our awards programs point out too. And there's nothing better than the person that risked it all for a idea, a strategy, a concept, or a product, and they just toiled and toiled, and it turned into something amazing. And it's maybe a household name in Gwinnett County, or globally. One example is Do you remember your first dial-up modem?
Oh yeah.
What was it? Do you remember the brand? Anyone?
I don't know. Mike, do you remember one?
Okay, Mike's.
AOL?
No. The actual modem. Okay, and of course I'm drawing a blank on it right now, but 80% of all modems on the planet Earth were founded and created in Norcross, Georgia.
No way.
Yes,
Is that right?
of which I'll have to Google it.
We're gonna have to Google it. But now my mind is thinking.
Wasn't it scientific?
It wasn't. It was not Scientific Atlanta.
Now we're going Rogan. Hey, Mike, search that up for us while we're talking here. But now you're talking about this modem, and my mind's going bing, 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 bing.
Oh, the worst sound ever, right? If you're a Gen X or older, you know that sound too well. So the guy that founded that company and literally supplied the world with 80% of the modems still lives in Gwinnett County.
Wow.
He's still not super active in the community, but he's there. I just saw him about a year and a half ago.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, they think about a chamber and they think about advocating for business, economic development. But I love that you shared the community aspect of honoring our first responders, our policemen, our firemen. That what a wonderful answer to the question, to the conversation. Because who are we without those people? Well,
I did economic development. I still do it, but it's not what I do every single day. What makes or breaks a community is safety. And if your citizens, your businesses don't feel safe and protected, really almost nothing else matters. I mean, you could have the best schools in the world. You could have the best talent, but if they don't feel safe, they're not going to want to be here. Yeah. And so we should never forget the folks that keep us safe every day. The fire, EMS, 911, police, all the different divisions. It's really to me one of the foundational things.
Oh yeah, I need to get involved with that to some extent. Thanks for sharing that. I love that answer. Let's rewind a little bit. Economic development. There may be somebody that's listening. They've heard of it. They know that there's an economic development team, partnership Gwinnett perhaps at the Gwinnett Chamber. But what does an economic developer do?
Sure. Just very briefly, a true economic developer gets up every day to work to recruit, retain, and expand businesses in their community. And because all communities are slightly different or dramatically different, the work may look different. Mm-hmm. In Gwinnett, we have 5 targeted industries. Okay. These are industries that are our top industries, which means we have a lot of talent, a lot of workers, talented workers in that workspace. And a prospective company is going to look at our analytics and our data first and know that we have a lot of corporate regional workforce. Okay. We have a lot of technology workforce, life science, advanced manufacturing, and supply chain. Mm-hmm. So those are our 5 targets. But we also know that retail is a really big industry in Gwinnett. Yeah. But you don't recruit retailers. Retailers have a model to themselves. They look at demographics. They like blue people that are 6'2", that whatever, eat strawberries. Yep. I mean, obviously that was just totally made up. But they know what they want, and they're chasing rooftops. Yep. And we have 1 million people in Gwinnett County and growing. Yep. And so retail, we don't go out and recruit retail. They know where they want to go, and you might want that new retail concept, but if you don't fit their profile, then they're not coming to your community. Right. So
give us those 5 again, if you would.
Sure. Advanced manufacturing, supply chain, corporate regional headquarters, which is generic. That could be an insurance company. That could be a financial institution. Then it's life sciences and technology. Okay. And within technology, what we're really strong is in telecommunications. Gotcha. Not your old telephony, using, again, another Gen X and older term, but mass communication on the corner of 316 and I-85. You might see some giant, people call them satellites, but they're actually antennas communicating with the satellite. Yep. But people always refer to the big dishes, like the gigantic ones. That is a very advanced telecommunications company. And that's the type of technology we're really good at. And to circle back to what we mentioned, Scientific Atlanta earlier, they were a telecommunications company. They communicated at your desktop or your set top, which is the old school TV with the box on top that you're communicating with.
Oh yeah.
And so we're very good at that.
And you talk about those industries, and it mirrors the industries that we at Regions are very good at. Supply chain, for example. We just initiated, and I think you'll find this interesting. I'm going to tell you something that you're not aware of. We just stood up a business model for where we want to focus on domestic companies with foreign-owned parents that may also need supply chain finance. So it's advanced finance of foreign receivables, and a lot of our peer banks will not necessarily engage with a domestic company with a foreign-owned parent because they're not familiar with the foreign parent. So what we do is we underwrite the foreign parent. We may get to know them. We may go over there for a meeting, but we find that it helps us support the domestic companies and their employees by taking it to that level. And that's why we're trying to grow in Gwinnett. Our internal marketing strategy is called Grow Gwinnett. You talk about 1 million people, and that's certainly something that we're always proud to talk about. You think about the GCPS, and 11th largest school district in the nation, 183,000 students. They educate 1 in 10 students in the state of Georgia, $3 billion budget. And you and I are blessed to have a little bit of a part in their success. Well, we look at that and we say, the flip side of that is in my world. I mean, that's the financial education, that's the education department. Gwinnett County is a $26 billion deposit market. The FDIC market share report, they just took a snapshot of it, I guess, 6 days ago now, and we'll know that report probably August, September. $26 billion held in deposits in the county that you have such an impact on. And we're looking to grow those. So how do we do that? We tell our story more broadly. We try to engage in the same industries that you do. And, we're building some really good branches. And I think we're just telling our story more, which is, why we do this podcast and bring in a guy of influence like yourself. So, a little bit of that story. What I want to direct all that to is some of the stats around business in Gwinnett. 650 international companies, if I remember correctly.
Correct. And you just stole exactly where I was going to go. I always just say over 600. The number, ebbs and flows. And a quarter of our population, so 1 million people, 250,000 people were born outside the United States. So
wow,
we are the most international corner of Metro Atlanta, Georgia, arguably the Southeast.
Yep.
Probably the only place that's more international than us might be the greater Miami area.
Okay.
But they're not diverse. They've got a lot of Latino, Hispanic, and white people, and some black people. That's not true diversity like Gwinnett is, where we're the 5th most diverse county in the United States. The only other county more diverse than us on the East Coast is Brooklyn.
Wow. As measured by what?
By the diversity index rating done by Esri. So there's an 84% chance if 2 Gwinnetians randomly meet, there'll be a different ethnic background. And
whoa, say that again. An 84% chance.
84% chance if 2 Gwinnetians randomly meet, they will be from a different ethnic background.
That's fascinating.
It is very fascinating. And what I have found when I've looked into and researched and drilled down on the top 100 most diverse counties in the United States, you basically have to have a population formula that has at least 10% of a group, Asian, Hispanic, black, white, or other, at least a level of all 4 of those. 4 of them have to be more than 10% of your population. When you get to that number where you have that much diversity, so lots of different types of people, that's how you become more diverse. Why is that important? Back to economic development.
Yep.
We have a global economy. We do have 24,000 businesses in Gwinnett County, 10,000 sole proprietors. The man or woman that got up and decided, I'm going to start a company, they don't have employees yet.
Yep.
That makes you the difference between a sole proprietor and an actual company.
Yep.
So that's 34,000 businesses if you count the sole proprietors. Many of them are immigrants to the United States. that had an idea, a strategy. So our
or a skill, I mean,
absolutely a skill, strategy, a thought process
Yeah.
to create something new. And to circle back, which you're right, I did not know your focus area on the foreign owned parent owning a company that they either acquired or they even started here and created a U.S. subsidiary.
Yep.
They are very difficult to bank because they don't have traditional U.S. credit history. They don't have a Social Security number. They don't have an FDI number. And that's been a real struggle to find financiers, because one of the first things, once they've decided, yes, we want to be here in Gwinnett, Metro Atlanta, we immediately say, let's get you in front of an attorney, a CPA, a banker to start. Like, we got to find you a place. So it may have been a real estate broker first, but then all those other things have to fall into place very quickly. Then somebody moves here and they might have a trailing spouse and family. We got to find them schools where we can get the language assistance. We've got to get that trailing spouse a driver's license so he or she could drive the kids to the grocery store. I mean, all these things where it's so difficult to move. And so banking, which is so important to a business, I mean, crucial, right? One of the top three things, not just every bank offers the same services. I mean, it's far from that being the truth. And I'm so glad that I have another arrow in my quiver of a great bank to work with to refer businesses to.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. I mean, it's a differentiator, right? I mean, we look at all of us do basically the same. We're going to accept deposits. We're going to make loans, and then we try to identify an area where we can separate ourselves, and that's an area that we see that we're doing. The XM Bank. We're the number one lender for export-import lending in the nation, and it's Regions. We're out of Birmingham. Nobody thinks of us, sort of elbowing up to a table with a large international bank, and yet here we are, and we're doing it through, like I said, export-import financing, supply chain finance, global parent type of stuff. So I think that's just important to share. Our listeners are getting to hear you and I have a conversation about each of our expertise here, but they can benefit from that too.
I wonder how many listeners, when you just said XM Bank, even knows what that is.
Well, it's probably very few know what it is, but those that do, they need to call us.
Right? Yeah. If you knew that term, what's your cell number? How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah. You can look me up on Business RadioX. Economic development. I want to, if I can, in my mind, when I think about a chamber, in addition to engaging the community, being an advocate for business, a lot of times at the Capitol, both state and federal, economic development is so important as you recruit those new businesses. Do you find that Gwinnett is focused on business from a certain geographical area elsewhere that we're really good at bringing to Gwinnett?
Yes. We're not that unique in that, because when you start drilling down, there's like 230 different countries in the world. How many of them is their economic situation advanced enough that their businesses are prepared to actually start selling their product or service abroad, and that they actually need an operation abroad? It narrows down from 230 to maybe 40.
Yeah.
And you know who they are, right? So right off the bat, Japan, Germany. Interesting because of our history with them, but the United States, as a philanthropic country after World War II, we did not ignore them or treat them poorly. We invested, right? And so Georgia this year is celebrating its 50th anniversary of having an office in Berlin. Well, actually, I'm sorry, in Germany. Okay. It's actually in Munich now. And the 50th anniversary of having an office in Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
So the state of Georgia has been recruiting companies for a long time, but actually established an office 50 years ago in both those places. So this is not a surprise. Gwinnett's has about 600 plus companies from abroad, 110 individual operations in Gwinnett from Japan, and 100 from Germany.
Oh, wow.
So interesting, right?
Yeah,
it
is very interesting.
Think about the long history of that developing. So then it's England.
Okay.
Then it's France. Then it's Switzerland, Sweden. It's all European companies into number 10, in the last few years, replacing another European company. No surprise, South Korea.
Oh yeah,
So,
well, that
so
makes
not
sense.
not a surprise at all. I think 13th largest economy in the world. That little peninsula of a
Yeah.
country, probably the size of less than Georgia, and they're just doing really well on the global scene. Interestingly enough, Metro Atlanta, with most of that population, or at least half, being in Gwinnett, we have the 4th largest Korean population in the United States, right here in
Is that
Metro
right?
Atlanta. And the question would be why? Gwinnett County specifically is the number one place a Korean immigrant that moved to the United States would move to after they located in the United States. They move to the places they know. New York, DC, San Francisco, LA, Seattle,
Yeah.
Chicago.
Okay.
Maybe Dallas, Houston, maybe. And then they're like, okay, this is great, but I've heard of this place called Duluth in Gwinnett outside of Atlanta. And that's what happened for 20 years. And that's why we have a enormous Korean population. And then you drill down on Indian, Pakistani, Chinese, Middle Eastern of all different cultures and backgrounds, and then Eastern European.
Yep.
Like the new immigrants have found Gwinnett. I mean, we are the New York or Philly or Boston of 100 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And just think what that will look like in our future as the world becomes flatter and diversity is, it's the now and it's the future. And because of our global economy, companies like Intuitive Surgical that created the Da Vinci surgical robot is moving the majority of their operations from greater San Francisco to Peachtree Corners, Gwinnett County.
Yeah, for sure.
$500 million investment. Number one reason why, when we found out that you were back to back times 9, number one place to do business in the United States, we thought, let's zero in on the Southeast. Let's take a look at Raleigh. Let's take a look at these other exciting places, Austin. And then they found out about how diverse we were and said, we're selling these Da Vinci robots all over the world, and you have access to 150 different languages spoken fluently in the homes of Gwinnetians. This is where we want to be.
In our school system.
In our school system.
Isn't that amazing?
And the school system is made up of citizens, right? Those are the children of our citizens.
So that's a huge win. It makes me want to ask, Nick, when we're talking with our clients, the number one challenge, aside from the current environment that we're in with rising interest rates, limited capital, whatever the case may be, finding and retaining top quality talent. That's a hurdle, that's a challenge for 100% of our customers. When I say that, what do you think about, especially through your lens of being a Gwinnett professional?
I think that concern is not unique to Gwinnett, Metro Atlanta, or Georgia. There's been a paradigm change that was happening before COVID, but absolutely accelerated. And there's the older mindset that I've given you a job and you should work hard for me, versus I think it's flipped. And have we created a place where that employee feels relevant, needed? Are we there for them and their development? And I'm telling you, if that's not the type of environment you've created, if you're still sitting back in the 80s and 90s saying, I think we're probably both Gen Xers,
probably,
right? Give or take a couple of years. We grew up and we were just happy to have a job. And we didn't want anything other than a paycheck and maybe some decent benefits. That is not what the folks that are coming behind us want. They want to know that the company I work for is for me. And if you're not for them, you're just for yourself, and you're like, I'm so good, you should be happy to work here, then you're going to continue to have exacerbated turnover. But if you could turn it around and be for them, there's a great book called For, written by a local author, Jeff Henderson. And it's about marketing, where the new successful companies aren't bragging about how great they are. They're out there giving world-class service. And you don't have to look far. Just look across the street, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A doesn't have to brag about how great they are because all their customers are bragging about it. And you turn the lens. And if you're for somebody, you're for your customer, you're for your employee, you're going to have a bright future. If you're still stuck in the bragging about yourself and your clients and employees aren't bragging about you, you're going to exacerbate turnover. You need to really think about what can I do for them other than giving them a paycheck?
Wow. Yeah, that is a paradigm shift. I mean, I'm not sure about you. I mean, my dad worked at a printing company his entire career, and he'd get up and he'd go to work, and he'd have to put on blue shirt, blue pants, and he'd come home smelling like ink. But at the end of the day, the job was over. He knew tomorrow morning he'd go run that press again, and that was it. That was it. There wasn't. That's really good tip. I hope somebody can take what you just shared and think about how that applies to their business. What are they doing to engage with their employees at that level? It's not about the company bragging about themselves. It's about bragging on your employees and listening to them and helping them accomplish what they want to accomplish.
Yeah. Here's another one. Just same topic.
Yep.
You're the leader of an organization. Are you looking at your benefits every single year to make sure you're competitive, that you're giving? Have you asked your employees what benefits would they like? Because I can tell you, your 20-year-olds don't care about insurance. They don't.
They really do not.
They think they're going to live forever. Now, thank God we care about them, and we're trying to. We're like, why do I need life insurance? No, just listen. We're giving it to you for free. We can't. We're not going to take this away and give you the cash difference. But
but they'll ask.
Oh my God, they will. And they also, by the way, no filter, right? Like the things that you and I at 25 would never. I don't even know that we thought it. They're saying it.
Yeah, they are.
And what you have to do is not act surprised, and don't roll your eyes and try to figure out where they're coming from. Just a really small thing I stole 3 years ago. I was sitting at a Starbucks line, and I looked up, and they were recruiting people, and it said, hey, great wages and free coffee and free Spotify. And I thought, wow, Spotify, that's really interesting. And as I thought about it, I thought, well, they probably just did a deal with Spotify. In Spotify, they said, "Hey, would you like to have 100,000 customers tomorrow?" Yes, great. We're gonna let's work out a deal and give you all Starbucks free Spotify, every Starbucks employee. So it was probably a real win-win for them. But I thought, well, I've got 34 employees. I don't think I can work out a deal with Spotify. But I thought, what could I give my employees that would be unique and cool that I could talk about during an interview? And I honestly was like stuck on Netflix. I was like, I'm going to give all our employees free Netflix. And so I started talking to some of the leadership team. And one of the ladies said something interesting about this whole phenomenon of self-care, which is a term I don't use as a 52-year-old man.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, what do you mean self-care? And they're like, well, if we're going to give Netflix, Nick, that might be your self-care, chilling and, turning off work and watching a movie. Okay, I'm like, yeah, that would be something that was interesting to me. They're like, well, maybe for a lady that works here, because we're chambers of commerce are typically female-dominated industries, so we cater to we have 4 men and 30 women that work at the Gwinnett Chamber, and that is almost across the board about the demographic of most chambers. And so they might want something different, like they might want a what's Audible. They might want Audible.
Okay.
They might want one of those things where they deliver food to your house so they don't have to prepare a meal for themselves. It shows up and they just have to put it together.
Yeah.
And of course all the ladies in my office had all these great ideas. So now if you're an employee of the Gwinnett Chamber, you have 20 different programs to choose from, including the gym of your choice, and we will expense $20 a month towards your self-care.
Wow.
Now, is that for me or for my chamber? It is, because it's about retention and recruitment, and it's unique and it's interesting and it's different. And now it's only $220 a year. No, sorry, $240. Bad math. That's why I'm not a banker. Okay. This is also what I did. I didn't just give everybody a $240 raise. I wanted to remind them every month during their expense report, they're filling out their expense report. Some people don't do a lot of expenses.
Yep.
They've got maybe some mileage, and then they've got that self-care, $20 a month. And it reminds them every single month that they did something for me.
Well, they go in and they think about, let's say a gym, they walk in through XYZ gym and they walk through that door thinking, thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Well, and some gyms are like $40, so I'm paying for 50% of it.
Yeah.
And it was, again, I didn't create anything. I stole an idea from Starbucks, and then my leadership team turned it into what I just described.
Oh, but that's valuable to somebody that's listening, Somebody that's listening may have gone through something recently where maybe a valued employee left, and maybe the executive or the owner is scratching their head going, what did I do wrong? Or how could I have done that better? So the impact of a $20 credit for a meal delivery service or a gym or Spotify, Starbucks, whatever it is, how's that been on morale?
Oh, well, it's great on morale. Like the people that already work there, this was just something we rolled out. Hey, we're going to do this, and people were pumped. And then like once a year, we say, hey, do you want to add anything to the list? And so you get all these incredibly interesting ideas, and we might add them. We honestly really don't care what they spend the $20 on. They just have to choose something, and then they just turn in a receipt with their expense report. And the fun thing though about it is when you're recruiting new talent, and you talk about that, they're like, "What? I get $20 a month to just for like basically whatever is important to me?" Yes, exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, people love it.
Well, and look, I mean, it's an investment back into them that they wouldn't otherwise do. I wonder how many people may go to a gym because you cover half of it, and normally they wouldn't have done that. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, no, that's great. Now think about that. What if that's actually true and that they get healthier and we end up saving money on our health insurance?
Could happen.
It could happen. Now the intention was not for us to win in the end.
Right.
It was to give a win to our employees. And
absolutely.
To be honest, I mean, I was trying to create something that was unique.
Yeah.
But I didn't just show up with my idea saying, let's give everybody Spotify or Netflix, because I saw Starbucks did this and Starbucks is smart enough to know what's the right thing to do. Yep. I just threw it on the table and our leaders developed this concept. I would have never in 1 million years came up with self-care. Like I couldn't even remember what it was called half the time. I'm like, what's that thing we call it? It's just not, it's not me.
Yeah.
But it's not for me. I mean, we don't have a bunch of 52-year-old Gen Xers in the chamber. There's just,
right.
Actually I might be the only one. But my point is, it was not for me. It was for people younger than me. It was for our population.
Well, that's valuable for somebody listening that may be going through that. And you gotta to say think out of the box. I mean that's an overused cliche, but we got to meet people where they are. Maybe that's a better way of saying it, is meet people where they are. What are you going through? What can we help you with? Because somebody may change every year in your situation,
and they're welcome to.
They might flip from one thing to the other. Maybe every month.
You just said something really important. Every business leader really doesn't. You could be a nonprofit leader, a government leader. Does not matter. Are you asking your employees, what do you need from me? Mm-hmm. By the way, guess what? Everyone wants a raise. Just forget it. We know that's going to be an answer.
Yep.
But these benefits aren't for me. They're for you. What do you need? Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you just ask that question, most people might say, "Oh, it's all fine. You got all the important things covered. I appreciate the 401k, appreciate the medical insurance, and so glad we have short-term and long-term disability." Because they're not even worried about it, because it's almost most companies have that.
Right.
But just being asked the question, because you would have to say, because if there's something that you need, I just want to know about it. Right. And if it's a customized thing for you, let's talk about that as maybe some sort of additional bonus concept for you. Mm-hmm. But if you find out 5 people have this common need, maybe it's time to relook at your benefits package.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or identify an existing member that that could help you with that. Speaking of existing members, let's transition to the pitch for new membership in the Gwinnett Chamber. Maybe somebody's listening that's not a member of Gwinnett Chamber. You have a variety of levels and you have different programs. What would you say to somebody that may need your help? First
of all, I would say most Region Bank customers are very, very smart people, and they're probably all chamber members. But let's just say that there's one that's not. We offer the opportunity for connecting, networking, expanding your reach. We, again, talked a lot about we like to recognize people, promotion of them, their organization, the success, their employees. We also, for medium and small companies that don't have a training department or an HR department, we become that place where they can go for the most recent knowledge in HR, legal, what's going on in the community.
Is that, by the way, is that through staff or through partners? If somebody needs help legally
Yes.
or with HR issues.
It's all the above.
Okay.
Plus,
Okay.
it's programs. It's committees. We have an HR group, the human resource management. And if you're an HR professional, you want to gather with all other HR professionals. They meet once a month at the Gwinnett Chamber. Our learning programs are monthly on topics, or our one-off events where we bring an industry leader together. And if you're the CEO and you have a 15-person company, you do not have HR or a corporate chamber.
That's right.
You might do a fractional something, or you might use a trusted partner, which, okay, if you're a new company to the community, you need trusted partners. I would say absolutely start with the chamber.
Yep.
Let us help connect you with people in the community that are well vetted.
Well, I'm laughing. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay.
I'm thinking about this thing that I'm stuck on in my own personal development, which is a sort of disconnecting productivity from connectivity, if that makes any sense. And what I'm trying to focus on is connecting more frequently and more broadly, without trying to value a relationship or a connection based on the productivity of that relationship, but just on the value of the connectivity. Meaning, I would rather introduce you to somebody that you need to know rather than me try to sell you a product, for example. And that's what you do so well at the Gwinnett Chamber that's why I laughed.
Okay.
Is because you were connecting.
Yeah.
That somebody moves into town, or maybe somebody's expanding, somebody's been here. They could be here for 20 years, but maybe they're in their own little segment.
Yes.
And they need to connect more. If you would just come over here to Sugarloaf Parkway and sit down with our chamber staff, there are connections that we can help you with.
You're exactly right, and it is interesting you use that example, because I am always surprised of the business owner, he or she that's been here for 10, 20, 50 years, and they'll call me and they'll say, "Hey Nick, I have this challenge. Do you have a recommendation?" I'm thinking, how do you not know these 10 other people that are experts in what you need to accomplish?
Yeah.
And they're back at their office or their plant, or they're driving down to Hartsfield Jackson to fly. They're a road warrior, and
Yeah.
they don't know everything.
They're doing their thing.
They're doing their thing.
And they're good at it.
They're maybe experts at it.
Yeah.
And they just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And that's such an overused expression, but there's just so much truth in it.
Right.
And so we love being that connector. We are, I guess, at the end, what do we do? We're ultimate connectors.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another organization in any community that can connect B2B better than a Chamber of Commerce.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. And you and your staff, are very quick to help, and your mind is always running. When I've been with you or Megan Lesko or some others at the chamber, it's all, hey, I know somebody that can help you with that, or call this person. They can tell you something about this, and that's what takes a county of 1 million people and makes it feel maybe not quite Mayberry, but pretty darn close.
People always say Gwinnett is a really, really large small town.
I agree with that.
And I totally agree with it. And I have these neighbors, I see them. I don't know their names, but they live in my neighborhood, and they pull in the garage, and they shut the garage door, and I don't see them. They're not out doing yard work. They don't, when my wife and I go for a walk, they're just doing their thing. That's what they're choosing to do. But if you're a person that I want to connect,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's unstoppable. Every small town in Gwinnett has a fall festival or a food truck Friday. If you want to connect on a social level, if you want to connect through your kids at Gwinnett County Public Schools, every activity from academics, athletics, if you want to connect and you're not connecting, there's probably something you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Because this is about the easiest place to connect in the world.
It really is. No one meets a stranger in Gwinnett, and I'm so excited about what we're accomplishing and our partnership with the chamber. We sure do appreciate it, what it does for our clients, and I appreciate you coming out today and telling us a little. Did we miss anything? Is there anything from a chamber perspective or a Nick Masino perspective that you might want to share with anybody that may be listening?
We've got 3 things.
Okay. Three things.
I'm going to be really quick.
Are they questions?
We'll see. I got to think of what they are first. Okay. Number one.
Okay.
probably don't want to come by the Chamber of Commerce right now, as
Yes.
we're in the middle of a $4 million 23-year renovation.
Yes.
It's not taking.
I was going to bring that up. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's
You
not.
beat me to it.
It's not 23 years, but it's been 23 years since we've done a renovation to the first and part of the second floor.
Yep.
But if you want to go have an incredible meal at Frankie's, or come experience the 1818 Club on the third floor, they'd love to have you. Or visit the CVB, Explore Gwinnett, on the second floor. They'd love to have you. But the rest of the building is not inhabitable right now.
Yep.
It's under renovation. The second thing is about me. I'm really excited because my favorite time of the year is coming up, which is college football.
Yeah.
And I was blessed to go to The Ohio State University, obviously one of the greatest football teams in the history of college football. And I'll grudgingly say, go Dogs, back-to-back national champs.
Peach Bowl champions as well.
Peach Bowl, and the Peach State champions, that's great.
I meant Peach Bowl champions against your Ohio State Buckeyes, yeah.
I was there.
Yeah,
it was, other than 3 minutes, it was the greatest game.
It was.
Except the last 2 minutes of the game, which actually mattered.
Well, and we know how that feels in that same building.
And so here's the funny thing about that experience. I've lived in Georgia consecutively for 29 years. I do not follow UGA football, and I didn't know that you guys lose all those close games because this is what alumni have told me. And many of them said, I can't believe we won. And listen, to be honest, to be on the other side of a UGA college football fan, and I don't even say alumni because half of them aren't alumni, they're just fans. And they're rabid and they're illogical half the time. But I have to give it to them. Back-to-back national champs. It's incredible. But we lost to Georgia, and I've lived here for 29 years, and I was hoping for this day, that day, just to go and play against them. And I thought this is going to be a pretty hard team to beat. They're very talented. Well, we were talented as well.
Yes.
And I know that we had a hell of a game because I've not had one Bulldog fan smack talk me at all. And I started asking, I'm like, why aren't I getting any smack talk? And this is the common answer is we don't typically lose close games. So I don't think any of us believe we were going to win that game after getting basically manhandled the second and third quarter. But it was a great game. Honestly, and my other Ohio State alumni friends, I say undetermined, unabashedly, it was the best loss I've ever experienced.
It was the national championship game.
Oh, it was so great. And, hindsight's 20. Who knows if we would have done the same thing to TCU, but it was a great game.
It was a great game.
Because I do love Georgia, not the University of Georgia.
Come on now.
I love
Go
Georgia,
Dog.
and I love Ohio State. So to have those two things come together was really fun. And then my last question for you is a question, one of 3 comments.
Oh, crud.
What's going to happen with the economy and the interest rates in the next 6 months?
Well, I tell you what, if you would listen to our previous episode with our CIO, Alan McKnight, he answers some of that in a very good fashion. We'll make sure we distribute that to you. Because when we started the interview, I mentioned that he did not bring his crystal ball with him.
He did not. Okay, he left it at home. Okay.
He left it at home.
Or back in the office.
And then, by the way, we did have a lunch at the 1818 Club, and he didn't bring it out there either.
He didn't. Okay.
So, we're blessed here. To your point, though, aren't we blessed to be in North Georgia, Metro Atlanta, where the severity of whatever's happening, we feel it? I don't want to jinx it, but we're very blessed to have a robust economy in North Georgia, unlike many other regions in the United States.
Agree with you 100%, and that doesn't happen by accident. And to go back, which I think you did an eloquent job of highlighting, is Georgia, Metro Atlanta, and Gwinnett has their crosshairs on economic development. Mm-hmm. And it's not something that is a here or there, we're not really thinking about it. It is focused from the state level, from the Georgia Department of Economic Development to the governor's office, to all the way down to Gwinnett County's Office of Economic Development, Partnership Gwinnett, our county administrator, our county economic developer, our chairwoman of Gwinnett County. We are constantly in conversations about recruiting, retaining, and expanding businesses. Because the best thing you can do for the health of any economy is employ your citizens. Yes. And that is a top value and concern of all the people I mentioned.
Well, and without a doubt, you think about our friend Tim Haymans, who runs the work-based learning over at Gwinnett County Public Schools. We have great students. You know, the trend right now, we can talk about the Ohio State University or, my beloved Georgia Bulldogs. there's a segment of high school students that aren't going to go to college.
Correct.
And they need job training. I have a daughter at UGA. I have other children, but my 15-year-old son, we're in the Hall County schools. He's going to take welding, and I'm telling him, buddy, you get to be a good welder, and you can graduate high school and go into a job and just sort of rock. So
he could likely make $75,000 to $80,000 a year. There's different types of welding, as you probably know.
Yep.
And you get the more customized ones. Or if he decides, hey, I want to go work on a rig in the Gulf of Mexico, he could probably make $125,000 a year.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd want to work on a rig in Gulf
I
of Mexico.
don't think I would either. But my point is, the Gwinnett County Public Schools has a lot to offer, and our work-based learning is really second to none. And we partner. I say we, meaning Gwinnett County Public Schools.
We're on the same page. Yeah.
It's the opportunities there are endless, and I'd say that to any business owner and executive. If you find yourself on the unending hunt for talent and you'd like to grow some talent, you need to talk to the Gwinnett County Public Schools, talk to the chamber, and see if we can't get people plugged into your business early so that they can literally grow up in your business.
Internships are key. We place dozens of interns just through our own board of directors. The conversations happen on a monthly basis, but you are right about the 12, basically dozen plus career academies in Gwinnett County Public Schools. There's also the STEM schools. We have more STEM schools than any other community in the Southeast. With the original Gwinnett School of Math, Science, and Technology. Then we had the health science, the McClure Health Science. Then we had the I think it's Paul Duke Engineering School, and now we have the second year AI school.
Yeah,
and so, a county very close to us that first letter begins with F and ends in N just opened up their first STEM school 2 years ago. We just opened up our fourth STEM school.
Wow!
And these aren't like little schools inside a school. These are full-blown, fully built-out schools. You've seen what we do
with
in
a physical campus.
Physical campus.
Yeah.
But then, if you decide that you want to go to Gwinnett Tech for either retraining or you want to get you go through Gwinnett County Public Schools and you want to get that next level welding training, that's there for you.
Yeah.
Or you want to go to Georgia Gwinnett College, which all of the places I just mentioned are highly focused on producing talent for the jobs needed in Gwinnett today.
Yeah.
Now, if you're blessed by the grace of God, you might go to Ohio State or that school down the street, Georgia Tech, or that other one down the other street.
Wow. Holy cow. I can't believe
by the
you
way,
went there.
I don't know if you know this, but your university, if you go and look at your diploma, it actually says the University of Georgia.
Well, we just don't make a point of it, like you guys do. One closing question. Inland Port coming to Hall County, Gainesville, Georgia, just up the road from where we are. I'm blessed to serve both counties via chamber membership. The impact that Inland Port is going to have on Gwinnett County, what would you say to that?
It's very positive for all of your entire territory because you, interestingly enough, said you go all the way up to the Highlands. Mm-hmm. That Inland Port is a competitive advantage against North Carolina and South Carolina as well. Mm-hmm. It's going to benefit the great folks of Hall County. It's going to benefit all of North Georgia, but it's going to allow the Georgia ports to be competitive against the Charleston port.
Yes.
So it's a bit of a competitive. It's going to serve all of us. It's also going to allow them to spread their reach into the Carolinas.
Yeah, I think it's going to impact all of us in a very good way. I really enjoyed this conversation. I knew when we turned these mics on that it would just flow like that.
I just can't believe we followed the script so well.
Yeah, look at the script. It's not even here.
For the listeners, there is no script.
That is exactly right. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. And we look forward to having you again sometime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for all you do for our community. And thank you for listening to Regions Business Radio. I'm J.D. Mealer, commercial banking leader, market exec, and host of Regions Business Radio.
Regions Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. This information is general in nature and is not intended to be accounting, legal, tax, investment, or financial advice. Regions believes this information to be accurate when recorded, but it cannot ensure that it will remain up to date. Consult an appropriate professional concerning your specific situation. The information should not be construed as a recommendation of a specific course of action for any individual or business. All Regions products and services are subject to qualification requirements, terms, conditions, fees, and credit approval. Regions reminds its customers that they should be vigilant about fraud and security and that they are responsible for taking action to protect their computer systems. Fraud prevention requires a continuous review of your policies and practices as the threat evolves daily. There is no guarantee that all fraudulent transactions will be prevented or that related financial losses will not occur. Visit regions.com/stop fraud or speak with your banker for further information on how you can prevent fraud.